Hey there, it's Lenny McGill with the GlockStore Performance and Custom Shop here in the amazing Nashville studios. Today I want to talk about Glocks. Imagine that. This is the GlockStore, right? But what's really interesting about Glock is that while they have evolved a bit, they really haven't changed much at all. And there's a reason for that because, they work and they have worked for, 35 plus years. Bottom line is that the Glock is still the most popular handgun in the world, and for good reason. What I have before me is a series of Glocks, Gen 2, 3, 4, and 5, Glock 19s. Let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. Here's the original Glock 19, and it's a Gen 2. A lot of people say, I have a Gen 1 Glock 20. Well, there are no such thing as a Gen 1 Glock 20. All right, there is a Gen 2 Glock 19. And this is it. And the reason I'm saying it's a Gen 2 is you're going to notice a couple things on this compared to some of the other guns we're about to show you. First of all, first and foremost, it has one pin above the trigger. Okay, so this is called a two-pin Glock. It's got the trigger pin and the trigger housing pin. All right, boom, boom. Trigger pin, trigger housing pin. The one pin is how they originally started with the Glock 17. Okay, so 17 was first, and that was a Gen 1, okay? Came out with this Gen 2 gun, which, they made a couple little changes, and they have just the one pin still versus the two-pin Glock, which is in a Gen 3, and that means it's actually a three-pin Glock, should I say. There's two pins. There's the trigger pin, and there's a locking block pin, and the trigger housing pin. So what happened, Glock realized when they produced the Glock 17 with one pin and shooting 9mm, fine. Okay, great. Okay, everything's wonderful. They actually then produced a Glock 22 with the 40 caliber, and they noticed that the one pin design was breaking. And they thought, oh, that was just the extra power of that 40 caliber round started breaking that one trigger pin, and they thought, oh, okay, we better do some more support here. And they actually put this second pin in, and that was probably what they did with the Gen 3. And they did a couple other little things too. But let me get back to this original version, because a lot of other neat little things about this that a lot of people, want to know. And so, first and foremost, it has no rail. Okay, so that's an interesting concept because most of the new guns have rails. Put lights and lasers and all kinds of other things. The magazine, this is really interesting. The magazine is not a drop-free magazine. Okay, so here's the magazine button. I'm going to depress it. You're going to see what happens with the magazine. It comes out a little bit. Gaston Glock designed this gun for the military. His thought was, I don't want people to lose their magazine on the battlefield and just drop it and let it go. So the concept was, if you want to reload, you actually pull that magazine out, put it in your pocket, take another magazine, and drop it in. Okay? So, of course, a lot of this competition shooters in the United States, and a lot of people in the United States were so used to having drop-free magazines that they could reload fast that, there's a lot of pressure on Glock to make a drop-free magazine. So the Gen 3 features a drop-free magazine. Okay? Now, many people, and this is really one of the most amazing things about Glock, many people say, well, can I use a Gen 3, 4 magazine, even a Gen 2 magazine, in a Gen 5 Glock, or vice versa? And the answer is yes. So this is a Gen 5 Glock 19, drop-free magazine. This is the Gen 2 magazine. Fits and features and functions as intended. But it doesn't drop free. It's the shape or design of the magazine that is designed not to drop free, that allows you to really get in there and pull it out, and again, secure it, and then put the next magazine in. But, like I said, all the Americans wanted to have drop-free magazines, so Glock responded and created the drop-free magazine. And that's one of the things that was really amazing about Glock, the ability to have parts that are basically universal through this entire lineup of the history of this Glock 19. So what's really interesting is that a lot of these same parts that are here in this original gun will fit and function in every other gun, and vice versa, back and forth. So what's fascinating to me is that, a lot of gun companies come out with a gun, they have all these neat features and all this cool stuff, but there's no cross compatibility. And then 3 or 4 years later, they drop that gun and there's no pieces and parts available for it. And hence, you know, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do? How do I keep this running? Because they stopped making it, they stopped supporting it. And you may find them out there somewhere, but they're super expensive because they're very rare. Whereas the Glock, pieces and parts that fit in the original Gen 2 19 will fit in all the other guns and vice versa. There's a couple exceptions, of course. But the connector is one piece that we sell a ton of, okay? And this connector is our 3.5-pound connector. It will fit in each one of these guns. And that's fascinating because there's several of the parts that will do the same thing. The magazine release buttons are a little different, right? So this magazine release button started off as only right hand only. Gen 3 was right hand only, and they introduced also finger grooves. A lot of people liked it, and many more people hated it. I hate to say that, but really, you know, the finger grooves, I don't have really a problem with them. They really grips my fingers perfectly, but a lot of people just, you know, it doesn't fit their hand. And they're very disappointed that Glock went away from the smooth, or the front has no finger grooves, just a smooth one that, you know, allows you to really, you know, no matter what hand, you can kind of fit it. So the Gen 3, they introduced the 3 finger grooves that, you know, kind of work for some people, and a lot of people don't like them at all. A lot of the other parts are still the same. The slide stop, the slide lock, the magazine release button, all interchangeable. Triggers, barrels, slides. I could take the slide off and go back and forth between these all day long, the Gen 1, or excuse me, the Gen 2 and the Gen 3 guns. Slide cover plates, everything's really the same. Magazines, like I said, are interchangeable. The slides, I mean, the frames are basically the same, except they got rid of the half moon cut here that they had on the Gen 2. And again, think about why they had that, okay? Because the magazine doesn't drop free, so it only comes to that point. So this gave you a place to put your finger to yank that magazine out. So that disappeared on the other models of this little half moon in the frame. A lot of people didn't like that too because it intersects with your finger and it kind of, you know, just doesn't feel great, okay? But there is a reason for it because again, if I want to get that magazine out there, if it's stuck, whatever reason, I have something to grab hold of and to yank it out. So that was the Gen 2. Now, these two guns, Gen 2 and Gen 3, they didn't really specify what they are on the side of the frame, the left side of the frame here. It just says Glock 19, Austria, okay, 9x19. That's this big round, okay? So many people will call us and say, what generation Glock do I have? And the first thing I say to them is, well, you know what, if you turn your Glock, pointing downrange, and you look on the left side, you'll see some printing. And if it says Gen 4, it's a Gen 4 Glock. If it says Gen 5, it's a Gen 5 Glock. If it doesn't say that, it's more, and it has finger grooves, it's more likely a Gen 3 Glock, okay? So that's the one determining factor there. The finger grooves really kind of take it away from the original Glocks, whether it be a Glock 1, Gen 1 17, or a Glock 2 19. This finger groove concept is one way to tell that you have a Gen 3 if it doesn't say Gen 4 on the side. Now, when they went from the Gen 3 to the Gen 4, they respond to the marketplace, they respond to the competition, they respond to what people are saying and what they want. And so they went ahead and they added a couple features that a lot of people find are very desirable. On the Gen 4, they added the ambidextrous magazine release button. Now, that was a big move for them. The other thing they did is they went away from the single spring guide rod into a dual spring guide rod. So let me show you what I'm talking about real quick here. There's the dual spring guide rod. Okay. And here is the single spring guide rod from a Gen 3. All right, like that. So, now, why'd they do that? Well, I think in their testing they found that this shoots a little softer, possibly. Maybe lasts longer. not sure. Glock recommends that you change these out, these plastic guide rods, at 5,000 rounds. So when people say plastic, they say, well, mine's not plastic. Well, yeah, they are plastic. The inside rod itself is plastic. That's a polymer rod. Okay, we sell a tungsten guide rod that's significantly heavier that helps reduce recoil. That's one of the things about a Glock. You know, great guns, but you know they are light because they're all plastic, and there is a lot of muzzle flip as well as felt recoil for some people that is tamed with our tungsten guide rod. Even the Gen 4 dual spring guide rod, if you look inside there, you're going to notice that that rod is in fact plastic. Okay, so that's a plastic rod. So again, we have the same tungsten concept for this Gen 4 that helps reduce muzzle flip and the felt recoil in your hand. So it really makes it shoot a lot better. And the tungsten guide rod is one of our most popular items. The other thing that happened here is they changed the shape of this guide rod, which in turn changed the shape of the nose ring, I'll call it. So let's go ahead and look at the nose ring of both of these guns. All right, so this being the Gen 3 here in my right hand, on your left side, I guess, and this being the Gen 4 right here. All right, so you'll notice the nose ring here is significantly larger. So hence, these slides are not necessarily interchangeable. You certainly cannot put a Gen 4 slide onto a Gen 3. However, you can put a Gen 3 onto a Gen 4. Very interesting, right? Okay, there will be a gap up there in the front because of, you can see that, and we do sell a little adapter that kind of closes up that gap. It makes it look a little prettier. Okay, so there's a couple things. Now, the other thing, what happened is they went from the Gen 4, very briefly, Gen 4 is maybe, you know, maybe 3 or 4 years, and they came out with Gen 5. And now what's interesting about the Gen 5 is they removed the finger grooves. Like I said, many people didn't like them. Probably more people didn't like them than liked them. So there was a lot of the chatter about finger grooves. They also went back to one pin, which really fascinates me because I don't know what they have learned or what they have done differently. Maybe it's the material they're using. Not sure why they think that the one pin is now better than the two pin. But they have done that, and I don't think that we've heard any complaints or any rumors about any kind of breakage or anything happening there. They, of course, maintained the rail, and they went ahead on the Gen 5s now. This is very important to think about this. They did a couple things. They did a bull nose on the front slide compared to the Gen 4 right here. And they added front serrations. And oftentimes people will send us their gun and ask us to do front serrations, and we will. So we'll actually mill those in there, come down here. We can actually wrap around the logo. It looks pretty cool. Get the front serrations, then we refinish it so that it has a new modern finish. And the modern finish they're using is the DLC. And if you can see here, this being the Gen 4 option right here, and this being the Gen 5. The Gen 5 is the DLC, kind of a blacker black. This being more gray, and this has a little shininess to it, this being a little bit more matte. It's not really super shiny, but it's definitely not matte compared to the Gen 4. Many things are similar. They did change now the slide stop to make it ambidextrous. That means it works for both sides. So now if I'm left-handed, I can operate the slide stop, and I can still take the magazine button, turn it around, and have it work here with my left hand. So they are trying to make this Gen 5 gun much more user-friendly for everybody. And so that's what the Gen 5 is all about. They made it a little bit more ambidextrous. They took out the finger grooves. Like I said, they changed the texturing, okay, somewhat. And they also, like I said, have the serrations up here and bullnose the front a little bit. And then now it's available, of course, with the MOS, the modular optic system. Every one of these Glocks, every one of these parts and pieces really has a dual purpose throughout the generations and throughout the entire product line. Because the same connector will work in a Glock 17, a Glock 22, Glock 19, Glock 23, Glock 34, Glock 35. I can go up and down the list, okay? I mean, and that's what's really fascinating. So a lot of people say, oh, Glock is boring, they don't innovate, they don't do that. And there's a reason for that, because of this compatibility issue. And so if you're thinking about buying a gun, Of course, I'm going to say buy a Glock because I still think, in my mind, it is the best handgun out there. Now, a lot of people are going to freak out and go crazy on me, and that's okay. But bottom line is, for the money, you can't beat a Glock. I'm letting it go. Of course, this is the Glock store here in Nashville, Tennessee. If you ever are in Nashville, come on and see us. We've got lots of Glocks to show you, all kinds. And you can test Glocks here too. So if you want to try out a Glock, different Glock models, different pieces and parts, put a tungsten guide rod in versus not tungsten guide rod, just to see what it's like before you actually buy it, well, you can do it right here in our Shoot 270 range experience. It's phenomenal. We shoot in combat rooms. We don't shoot down lanes with other people that we don't know, okay? So you go in the room by yourself with an instructor, and you get to do all kinds of dynamic things, shoot around corners, put low lights down, move, draw from concealment, shoot at multiple targets, just like the real world, all right? So come into Nashville and make sure you make GlockStore one of your stops because we'd love to see you. And if I'm here, I'll come out and say hello. So thanks for watching. See you next time. And we'll have lots of more Glock stuff to come in the near future.